The Nick Scott Effect. The Nick Scott Effect. Available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Facebook Watch, and everywhere podcasts are found. Interview requests and show notes available at djnickscott.com.
Yes. Welcome back. Another episode, a new episode of the podcast. Thanks for checking out the Nick Scott Effect. I am, of course, Nick. And I think right off the bat, I owe you an apology. It's been like 4 weeks since I've done a podcast and posted a podcast. It's been 4 weeks since I've recorded a podcast. You know, early on when I kind of restarted this thing, it was of the mindset that I was going to put no like time constraints or schedule on myself or anything like that because, you know, the first 30 episodes I did in like 2-3 months, right when COVID was terrible, when everything was shutting down. And I remember feeling like pressured. I was booking people and I was scheduling interviews and I was trying to gather content and do all the things that you do if you've ever been in the media world or done a podcast. You know, you're trying to do all your research and everything. And it felt like, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, so if you've heard this, I'm sorry, but it felt like days of old where days of old in my radio days where, you know, everything was formatted and everything had to be just this way. And I had to hit this time and I had to be here at I don't know. I just didn't want to do that anymore. So in my podcast, I said, if I do 100 episodes in a week or if I do one a year, I'm going to be cool with that. So I hope you're cool with that too. And thanks for checking it out. This is available if you're just checking me out. This is available. The video portion, if you see me, hi, is on YouTube and Facebook Watch. The audio version is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It used to be Google Play Podcast. Now it's just Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and there was another one I'm on there. I think it's on Pandora. I have to look it up. If you're a Pandora user, just search my name. It's something we added recently. I know I should know that, but we added several. We've added a lot of things, actually, since I've been gone. We got a whole bunch of new gear here, and I'm going to go through the list of reasons. It's taken me almost a month to post a podcast, so you don't think I'm a complete psychopath. But we got some new gear in here, some new audio processing equipment, some new mic stuff and mic equipment, some new equipment here in the studio, some new lighting around me, got some new guitar gear, which I'm happy to show you later if you like. So that had some of the production down, but also I just haven't had time. And that's been the biggest pain in the neck. So let's run it down. Where have I been for a month? And why is it taking me so long to jump on here and talk to you? So I did a podcast with my friend Corduroy Brown, Alan Brown. His name's Alan Brown. He's of the band Corduroy Brown. Great episode. I highly recommend you go back one episode and check that out. Insanely talented guy, and just a great conversation. You know, his near-death experience, followed even by faith and his music. So definitely check that out. So after that episode, I want to say we did that episode on a Thursday night. By Friday night, we were in Cincinnati visiting family. And then by Sunday morning, we were on an airplane to Orlando to go to Disney. We spent 7 days at Disney World, which I'm going to go into a little further here in just a second. Excuse me. I'm belching because I'm drinking bourbon. Side note, cheers. If you are watching this somewhere or listening to this somewhere where you can have a beverage, Buffalo Trace is my absolute favorite bourbon. And no, they're not paying me to say that. You can't find this crap anywhere. It's like liquid gold. So anyways, that's so good. So anyways, we were in Disney for a week. We came back, you know, that first week after vacation, you kind of start to unwind and get accustomed to life again, you know, back to your regularly scheduled programming, as it were. And so that week was just, you know, laundry from Disney for 4 people, you know. If you have a family been on vacation, you know what that's like. Cleaning the house, getting back to work, getting back to doing DJ gigs and voiceover and commercials and things like that. So that week I couldn't record. And then last week, I had 3 weddings in 7 days that I DJ'd, which was just insane. I had one on a Saturday, and then on a Wednesday, and then a Saturday. And they were all pretty good size events. So that pretty much consumed my week last week, preparing for those and making sure I had all my ducks in a row. And then this week, my daughter has started softball, fall ball. So she has practices and games. So why do I explain all this to you? I love doing these podcasts. I love the folks who follow this and who check it out and leave me comments and so forth. But that's where I've been. That's where I've been for almost a month, and thanks for hanging in there. And the first thing I want to dive into is Disney. And if you are a Disney fan or thinking about taking your family to Disney, here are maybe some tips, tricks, things I like, things I didn't like, that might help you navigate your trip to the most, the happiest place on earth. So the first time I'd ever been to Disney was in 2019 with my family. Growing up, a poor kid in Ohio, vacation wasn't in the vocabulary as far as finances. So I didn't get to do a lot of those things as a kid. And thankfully, as I've become an adult and as I've become a parent, my wife and I have worked hard enough to where we can do these things for our kids. So that's a great feeling to have as a parent. And so we went in 2019. I was hesitant, but ended up loving it. My favorite part was obviously my kids, like seeing my kids, watching my kids. That was the absolute best experience of Disney for me was watching my children's reaction to all the goings on at Disney, whether it be from the characters meetings to the rides and food and shows and stuff. It was just a lot of fun. So we flew down there on Sunday and we got in at like 11 a.m. Our flight out of Cincinnati was at like 8 a.m. and we got there at like 10. And then we got to Disney at our resort at like 11. So we went straight over to Magic Kingdom. We were in the park by noon. It was crazy. We rode maybe 2 rides, and then it stormed and rained sideways. So something no one told me about Florida going into it is, I guess, August, September, they call it the wet season. At least that's what one local referred to it as, was the wet season. And every day, so the 6 days that we were on the ground in the parks, 5 of the 6, it was storming by 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. Morning was sunny and beautiful. Every evening, lightning, thunder, rain sideways. So we get to Magic Kingdom. We watch a parade. We get some lunch. We go ride a couple rides, which takes some time to get through the lines, right? And we're heading to ride, I forget what, maybe it was Barnstormer, and starts raining sideways thunder. They shut the rides down because of lightning. And I remember we're huddled in this like big top circus tent. If you're familiar with Magic Kingdom, you probably know the section I'm talking about where it looks like a circus. And so we're huddled in there, and the rain starts to die down, and we're like, all right, well, let's go get in line because they're probably going to open up the rides here soon because the lightning's gone. And no sooner than we start to walk out of the tent, lightning literally strikes in the park like 50 yards from us. You know, scared the crap out of all of us. So we go back in this tent and hide for like another 45 minutes. At this point, it's like 5 in the afternoon, 5:30. We've been up since like 4:30 because we had to catch the flight. You know, we had to go to TSA and everything. So we're just at hell with it. We're going back to the room. I think I was asleep by like 7 that night, and I slept from like 7 to 8 the next morning. But that was kind of cool. So then the next day we went to Monday we did Epcot. Tuesday we did Animal Kingdom. No, I'm sorry. Tuesday we did Magic Kingdom. Wednesday we did Epcot. Thursday was our like freebie day to do whatever we wanted. Friday was Magic Kingdom again, and Saturday was Epcot. Sunday we came home. So here's some tips and tricks I'll tell you. We stayed at Boardwalk, and my wife has kind of schooled me on deluxe, moderate. Is it moderate? Modern. And is it budget or there's three terminology. So you have your cheaper hotels, which I forget what they call it. And then you have your like mid-level hotels that they call modern, if I'm not mistaken. She calls them mods. I guess you're hip to the Disney lingo. You call it a mod. And then you have deluxe, which is your higher end. So we stayed at Boardwalk, which is a deluxe. We were very fortunate to be able to do that. That, if you can financially finagle it, is key because we were able to literally walk down a path to Epcot, right to the gate from our resort. Literally walk. We didn't have to catch a ride. We didn't have to catch a bus. We didn't have to catch a Skyliner or a boat. We could just walk straight to the park, which was amazing, especially when you got kids. You know, you're herding cats essentially, which was great. The other key point to this, and one reason I love Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Swan Dolphin, all those, there's a lake or a lagoon or whatever you want to call it, and they literally have multiple boats, transport boats running on that lake from the times the park before the park opens until after the park closes. And you can hop on that boat and be at Hollywood Studios in less than 5 minutes. I mean, it's literally right beside the Boardwalk Resort. So within 5-10 minutes from our resort, we could either walk or take the boat to two of the four parks, which was amazing and made life super easy, super simple, and stress-free in terms of getting the kids and the family around. And of course, the great thing with being walking distance to Epcot was the food. The food at Epcot is phenomenal, especially when you go to the different country sections. You could have authentic Mexican cuisine, authentic Japanese, authentic Kenyan. What else was in there? I mean, there was so much in there. Chinese, Denmark, Fenway, all of that was in there. And the list goes on. And you can get authentic cuisine in sit-down restaurants, or what they call, is it fast snacks, quick snacks, basically a small snack to go. So if we didn't want to eat the resort food, or if we didn't have a reservation somewhere, it was easy in the evening to just pop over to Epcot and grab something to eat at one of those delicious restaurants. So that's a tip. That's tip number one. Tip number two, Genie Plus or Fast Pass, whatever you want to call it. My wife likes it. She's not as big a fan of it as I am. I literally will take my money. Take my money. I will pay for that every day, all day, any day that I'm at Disney for me to be able to walk in a lightning lane and be on a ride within 10, 15 minutes. Take my money. It literally made riding rides and getting around the park so much simpler. We waited a full hour for one ride with our kids, and I wanted to literally pull my hair out. It was hot. It was muggy. People are crammed in this queue, in this line, and it's outside. Miserable. I told her from this point on, take my money. Get us the lightning lane on whatever big ride it is we want to ride, and I want to walk on, and I want to be on it in 10 minutes. That, to me, is worth its weight in gold. That, to me, is important to me. If you're someone who's cool with waiting in a line for an hour when it's 95 degrees and 80% humidity, hey, more power to you. I'm not that guy. So that's my second tip. My next tip is going back to food. You've got to try St. Angel's in Epcot. It's in the Mexican section. It's in the big Aztec Mayan replica temple. Mexican cuisine. There's a gentleman who waited on us by the name of Francisco. By far one of the best servers, hosts, waiters, whatever you want to call them, that we had our entire stay. This guy was incredible. He was from Mexico City. He even shared a little bit about his family. He came here from Mexico City, had a family here. His son is a United States Marine, which I thought was incredible. So shout out to him and shout out to his son for serving our country. And but I said, Francisco, is this legit Mexican cuisine? He said, 100%. And I said, what do you recommend? He said, the chicken enchiladas. I said, give them to me. And he came out, or when they came out, they gave me these chicken enchiladas that I swear on my soul was the best Mexican food I have had. It was incredible, from the way they cooked and seasoned the chicken, the tortillas, the cheese sauce on top, the different stuff that was around it you could dip in with your cheese and everything as you're eating it. It was amazing. And the best thing about St. Angel's was, in terms of cost, it wasn't even the most expensive restaurant that we'd eaten at that week. I mean, it was mid, and just incredible. And so, and my wife loved it. My kids loved it. Hey, and if you know my wife, if you don't, I'll tell you, she's the pickiest eater you'll ever meet. So for her to like it, that says something. So you got to try St. Angel's at Epcot if you go down to Disney. Shout out to Francisco. If you get him as your waiter, you're going to be blown away. He does a great job. Second was Rose and Crown, I think, in Ireland, in the Ireland section. A gentleman by the name of Stephen waited on us. He was from Northern Ireland. Got to meet him and talk to him for a while. Great guy. He shared with me. He comes to Disney for a year and works. Goes home to Northern Ireland for a year and works and does school and what have you. And then he'll apply back to Disney for another year, and he'll come to the States for a year and work at Epcot. And he does this. He's done this 3 times now, he said. I got the shepherd's pie there. Fantastic. Highly recommended. My wife and I really enjoyed the Harp beer, which is funny because we loved it. And every time we walked by Ireland, we get a Harp beer. Harp, that's Harp, Harp. And there was a gentleman in front of me from Great Britain, and I asked him, I was like, is this a popular beer? And he looked at me and goes, I've never seen it on one menu. I was like, I guess it's not that authentic, you know? And then he said, and he told me it was probably not the most sought after beer. So anyways, that made me laugh because we enjoyed it. We thought we were getting authentic, like, Irish beer. Here's this guy. It's like, I've never seen it. But it was good. We enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. The rides were fun. The only downside, to wrap up my Disney explanation, the only downside to Disney that if I had to say I'll never do fill in the blank again, is I don't know that I'll go in the summer again, you know, especially pushing a stroller around with kids. You know, there was one day it was 96 degrees. And I mean, I pulled up my Weather Channel app and actually looked at it. It was 96 degrees and 72% humidity with the sun like bearing right down on you. Pushing a stroller around on the concrete, people everywhere around you. It was miserable. So much so that we had to leave the park. We were at Epcot that day, and we went back to our resort till like 6 o'clock. We just had to let everything cool off. It was way too hot. So I think your prime time for Florida Disney, if you're wanting to go as a family, especially family with little kids, you're probably looking November to March is what I would say is your prime time to go. But then we flew back on Sunday. I think we were back in Cincinnati by noon, 1 o'clock. We were on the road by 2. I want to say we got home by like 5 or 6. And it was a great time. and the most special part for me was the bonding with my family. You know, it was just my wife and my 2 kids for a week on vacation, and just spending time together, hanging out together, being together, riding rides together, laughing together, enjoying time together. And, you know, those are moments that, you know, you cherish forever. And so that to me was the most important takeaway from our Disney trip. So that'll conclude the first week of Where the Heck I Was. Highly recommend Disney. We had a blast. The food was amazing. The rides were fun. The kids had a blast. And I highly recommend it, of course. I mean, that's why they're popular to anyone listening. This Friday, September 23rd, I am DJing the West Virginia Golf Association Gala. This is my second year being a part of the event. They always do a fantastic sliding down on my chair there. They always do a fantastic job. It's at the resort at Glade Springs, which is beautiful. I love playing golf down there. I love doing weddings down there. So this is pretty cool. It's called Hollywood Nights. And it's just going to be a really fun event. It obviously goes to benefit the First Tee of West Virginia, which my daughter's been a part of, learning to play golf. So if you are looking for something fun to do this Friday night, the West Virginia Golf Association Gala, supporting the First Tee of West Virginia. Theme is Hollywood Nights, is at the resort of Glade Springs. I believe I start at 6. So, yeah, come by and see me. And you can go to wvga.org to grab tickets, or you can buy tickets at the door. wvga.org to buy tickets, or you can get tickets at the door. So that's where I've been for almost a month. I do have some pretty cool stuff in the pipeline I've been working on that I can't wait to share with you. We have some stuff going on here in the podcast. I've got some interviews coming up that are going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to have some really cool, talented people on here with me, national musicians, you know, recording artists that have gold records and albums, and were widely popular and still widely popular. Even some politicians here in the state of West Virginia that are going to jump on here with me and talk about a few things that they're doing and that they're into, which I'm pretty excited about. You know, politics are one of those things where you have an opinion, I have an opinion, they have an opinion. I've always been told, you know, opinions are like buttholes. You know, everyone's got one and they all stink, right? But the cool thing about talking to people in the political arena is what I always try to find is it's easy for news stations and news organizations and websites to snippet recordings and take something a politician says and just snip a little part. And usually that little part they snip is in favor of whatever that person's political agenda is, one way or the other. What I strive to do is talk to the person, you know, because we're all human. Just because you're running for a political office or you hold a political office doesn't mean you're not a human being. So I like to get to the human side, you know, like what has driven some of these folks to get into politics and what they stand to change, to benefit, to help society or the community they serve, without maybe being divisive or trying to persuade folks one way or the other. So looking forward to doing that as well. Thank you for checking this out. Thanks for listening to me. And hopefully we have a lot more of these coming over the next several weeks as I have more time to actually sit down and do them. In the meantime, I don't have a catch line. So bye.